Hello everyone, this is Paushta Fashion Workshop. I remind you that we post new videos every day. Today we continue working with the bias binding. We're going to show you one more detail. We want to show you how to etch the angles in the collars. The angles in the collars are more sharp, so you need to know what to pay attention to. This is a mock-up of the collar. The upper detail is doubled and the lower isn't. Pin the details the way Natalie did. Due to the fact that we want to etch the collar with the bias binding, the angle should be round. Have a look at what Natalie is doing. Put a thimble on the very angle and outline it. Make sure that the thimble reaches both of the sides. We can cut the angle next. Cut the two layers of fabric together. Do not forget to cut all the extra pieces of interfacing after doubling the details. This is very important. Do remember the rules for sewing collars. The lower layer should be 2 mm shorter than the upper one. We need to do it for the collar to be turned down slightly. This is why Natalie is making each side of the collar 2 mm shorter. Do not detach the details before doing it. Cut just a couple of millimeters. You need to be very accurate. Don't hurry. Check what you're doing. This is how the collar looks like now. Have a close look at the edges. Next, we need to stitch the binding to the collar. We will be doing it with the one-sided foot, just like in the previous video. Make sure that the edge of the binding matches the edge of the collar. Stitch right along the round detail of the binding. Be very accurate and attentive. Fix the binding before you start stitching it. Don't hurry. We're stitching the binding to the collar. Stop stitching about 2 or 3 centimeters before the angle. Leave the needle inside. To stitch the angle, we need to make several tiny notches here. We can continue stitching now. Be very accurate and attentive. Have a look at the way Natalie is working. You can tack this piece before stitching if you want to. Natalie is doing it without tacking. She's a professional tailor. You can stop stitching 3 centimeters before the angle, take it, and then continue stitching. Natalie stitched the angle very slowly and attentively. When you learn the technique, you won't have any problems with stitching even the most complicated details. Natalie made a perfect seam. We need to make a couple of notches on the angle in the main fabric, and then cut the extra pieces. We need to do it in order to be able to turn the angle right side out accurately. This is how the detail looks like now. We stitch the binding to the upper part of the collar. Next, we need to pin the lower part of the collar to it. I remind you that we made each of its edges 2 mm shorter. You can tag the details if you want. As I've already said, we are showing you the technique we usually use in the fashion house. I remind you that we are stitching the details with a one-sided foot. We need to get right in the first seam.
Начинаем пристрачивать.
It's a bit easier for Natalie to stitch the angle now. The most important thing is to get right in the first seam. Be very attentive. Watch what Natalie is doing. She's using seam ripper to make sure that she's working accurately. As I've already said, the most important thing is for you to get right in the first seam. That's it.
Можно угол даже подрезать немножко, да?
Next, we need to cut the extra piece from the lower part of the collar for the seam to be soft and thin. We'll also make the angle itself a bit smaller.
Угол можно подрезать.
We cut all the extra pieces. We can turn the angle right side out now. Next, we need to check if the details are accurate. This is what Natalie is doing. After that, we need to tack the seam from the right side for ironing. The stitches should be slightly biased. When taking the seam, make sure that it's straight on the wrong side. This is very important. Don't be lazy. Do it before ironing the seam. The collar looks so beautiful. It's a pity that it's just a mock-up. Let's go to the ironing desk. Have a look at the shape of the collar. Due to the fact that we made the lower layer smaller, the collar is not straight, but slightly round. This is how the collar should look like. It's of an accurate shape. It will look very beautiful in a garment. Natalie is ironing the seam gently. Don't make the collar straight. When you iron the seam, remove the tacking and press the seam harder. Natalie is ironing the seam from the right side. Be very accurate when doing it.
Делать окончательную утюжку.
I remind you that Natalie is ironing the collar after inserting the binding in it. That's it. Have a look at how beautiful the collar is. This is how the collar looks like now. I remind you that this is just a mock-up. Each detail and technique seem complicated when you look at them. You think, oh, I'm not going to etch the details with the bias binding. It's too hard for me. Once you start working, you'll realize that it's not that hard. The girls showed you the very important and useful technique. Don't be afraid of working with bias binding. It would really make your work longer, but just for a couple of hours, not for a couple of days. It's true. What is very important is that before you start working with the bias binding, you need to make sure that all the details are accurate and that fit you perfectly. We've showed you a review of the short dress recently. The dress was etched with the bias binding as well. It looked absolutely amazing. That's all for today. Be different and beautiful. Remember that practice makes perfect. Вы опаукште Irina, Ira and Natalie. Subscribe to my channel, write comments, share videos, press the like and the bell buttons. Thank you. Goodbye.